Joseph of Arimathea was a good, there were a lot of good functioning people in Israel. And for Jesus to say, man, I wish he would say that about me. A person in whom there is no guile. And that guile means, guile is like it's a negative, like a poison or something that's negatively festering. What's that?
Deceit.
Deceit, yeah. And so you see that Jesus called him out, and Nathanael said, "How do you know me?" And Jesus said to him, "Before Philip called thee, when thou was under the fig tree, I saw thee." Okay. Nathanael answered and said unto him, Rabbi, thou art the Son of God, thou art the King of Israel. And Jesus answered and said unto him, Because I said unto thee, I saw thee under the fig tree, believest thou? Thou shalt see greater things than these. And he said unto him, Verily, verily, I say unto you, hereafter ye shall see the heaven open, and the angels of God ascending and descending upon the Son of Man. Now, there's a couple things I want to hit here. One of Shelley's college classes brought out a point that if you weren't a student of the Bible and history, you may have missed. They said, and of course you can take this with a grain of salt because every fact like this must be proven. And in Israel, there was a saying. Like we have a saying in America, chip off the old block. Well, we know that to me, a son being much like his father or a child being much like their father. Well, apparently in Israel they had a saying about being under the fig tree, which meant you were meditating on spiritual things. And apparently, because now, in a man's mind, now if you said, I'm going to go and get my husband and he's over here at the CVS, and I said, yeah, before Amy went to get you, I saw you at the CVS. There's no great revelation in that. You see what I'm saying? What you might have peeked around a corner, but what happened, I believe, is one of those instances, what we call in the motorcycle ministry a Holy Ghost setup, where that you're at the right place at the right time, and you know it beyond a shadow of a doubt. Now listen, I want to tell you, man, we just experienced a phenomenal Holy Ghost setup in our motorcycle ministry. I know this is a sidetracking, rabbit trailing story, but it's such a blessing, okay? For those of you that may not know, the founder of our ministry died a couple of years ago, and he started this ministry, and it did very well, and we have a lot of people that were a part of the motorcycle ministry. But, with all the people that you have in a ministry, sometimes you just get a bad apple or someone who wants their own way more than they want to get along. Well, we have our patches for our ministry made at a certain place in Tennessee. It's a little patch shop in Tennessee. And the local chapter there in Tennessee just happened to stop by this patch shop. And the son of the founder of our ministry went into this patch shop, and he saw the truck outside, and he recognized whose truck it was. And so he knew that they were in the back room, and so he walked into the back room and saw two men conspiring to make another patch to start their own ministry while they were still a part of this ministry, taking off of what his dad did and posing as his dad's son. Yeah. Yeah. You talking about a Holy Ghost setup. Let me tell you another one. And our motorcycle ministry has been very active. One of our motorcycle ministries, his name is Deadeye. His actual name is John. John was a truck driver. He's out. He's going out west on a truck run. Okay, and he seldom. He got sleepy or something. Needed a cup of coffee, and he was all the way out west, almost to California. And he pulls into a truck stop that he didn't normally frequent, or he just happened to be there. And he gets out of his truck and goes in to get a cup of coffee. He looks over and he sees a Heaven Saints t-shirt. Okay, and he begins to talk to these fellas. And begins to talk to him about his life and how that he was an outlaw biker and how the Lord changed his life and how that the Lord turned things around for him and made such a dramatic. And he just began to tell the wonderful things that God had done in his life. And they told him where they were from, and they were no longer a part of the ministry or whatever, but they just they knew Barry and they appreciated him. And he left and went on his way and didn't think any more about it. A few weeks later, the president of the chapter here in Pasco gets a call and says, "You know a fellow named Deadeye?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, I just want you to share a message with him that he probably changed my life, and I wanted you to tell him that God had used him." Okay, these two fellows were saints, were from Tennessee, and were headed to California to kill a man who had done their mother wrong. Now, I don't know about you, but when your mother, imagine somebody laid hands on your mother. You lived in a different state. Maybe your mother lived in California, and she brought a nephew into the house of a stepdad or something, and that nephew struck your mother. Now, this is where these fellows were. And because of that interception, and apparently the things that Deadeye said, because he was indeed, shootings and stabbings and killings and stuff. It wasn't, that strange. Bust and jail and all this was his life before Christ. And so, pulling into that truck stop, the Lord used him to head them off at the pass on their way to possibly life in prison for what they were going to do. I'm just telling you, God has setups. Jeff, I hope you don't mind, but it's not just motorcycle ministry. I'll use this for the rest of my life, brother. You don't know how much that this meant to me. Jeff and I don't think he's ever called me on the phone. What are you, 22 now, buddy? Never called me? What's up with that? No, he graduated with Josie. And him and Shalom have been boyfriend, girlfriend, off and on for a long time. But he got out in the world, and he needed somebody, needed the Lord to speak to him, and he called and asked if he could talk to me or come see me, and I just happened to be off work. Well, I had taken the day off work I was supposed to be in South Florida at a men's conference. The men's conference didn't pan out, so I took the day off anyway and took Zeb and Shiloh around to different places, and we just spent the day together. And we were yard selling at the time. It was about 1 o'clock in the afternoon or so, and my phone rings, and I didn't even know he had my phone number. I guess he got it from Josie or something. So I talked to him. I could tell that he needed to talk, and so I said, "Well, we can meet at the church." He said, "No, I know you're working." I said, "No, really, I'm not working today. We was about to go home anyway. I'll meet you there at 2:30. It's about an hour and a half or so." So we went ahead and hit a couple more yard sales, and Zeb said, "I'm thirsty." So